All right, and we're back, ladies and gentlemen, to get ready for game number two, to see all the exciting things we have in store after a pretty convincing steamroll through by Columbia College.
That we are just getting everything back up and ready to go. It looks like our teams are most likely ready to go along with us. So let's go ahead and give a quick recap for anyone just now joining us. A couple of things to think about. One, Columbia College, not only do they have an esports program at their college, but lots and lots of practice put into that towards developing their talent and the team play between them. And that's exactly what we got a chance to see in game number one. Lots of team play, and specifically looking towards RJ, the jungler for Columbia, who really had a stellar performance, not only helping out himself to the most kills on his team, but also helping the rest of his team get that snowball rolling as well. So we'll get a chance to see if his Elise is targeted here in the bans or how they differ between game one and this game number two.
Yeah, would not be surprised to see a change to either Elise or Camille. I don't think you need to do both if you're ready to play around them, so I would not be surprised to let them run through with the Camille, because you had a good answer to it with Poppy, but, let target some bans on the Elise is actually the LeBlanc that they target, though.
Yep, there's the LeBlanc ban, so nice to see that taken out. Now, the Rise ban as well, something we saw kind of some confusion at when it did enter the ban column in IEM Katowice coming up last week. A lot of question marks there just because Rise kind of flickers in and out of the meta. And I don't really think there was anything wrong with the Orianna pick into the LeBlanc last game, just maybe how it was played or the gank assistance there in the mid lane. Either way, you do just want to keep that champion away from Hollywood. But I still don't have a problem with maybe Orianna coming back in. The big difference, though, is going to be that with this Rise and LeBlanc ban out, you can't have the same 6 bans as last time. That means something is going to get through, and it might just be that Rengar that we did see banned out in game number one.
Absolutely. I think actually an aggressive jungler for Here to Improve could be the difference in the second game for Mankato there. Hopefully, they can get a good option for them first. It's always interesting to see what the down team does when they take that first pick away. That is Rengar banned, so feels Batman going to have to choose this one quite carefully. What do you first pick if you know exactly what happened to you last game with all the over-aggressive? Are you going straight off the bat for defense, or are you trying to match it blow for blow? Looks like Jin.
Okay, well, that is the champion. Exactly like I said, you can't ban out everything that you banned last game if you changed it up. So Jin was taken off the field last game. This time, we get a chance to see it. And it will be being fielded for Minnesota State Mankato. So at least they're the team that, really do need to come back. And they're going to do it off the back of a champion that was taken off the field last time. So how do you deal with a Jin? There are a few ways. One big way is Ashe as an AD carry. You see where he's channeling his ultimate from, fire an arrow in that direction, hope it doesn't hit anything, and of course takes him out of the picture.
Problem solved.
There. Yep.
Well, that's incredibly likely. We did already see Artemis play that Ashe beforehand, so no stranger to it, and certainly a damage threat. Looking like Columbia doesn't want to change much, though. They take 2 of the same exact picks from their roster last time. No, I'm sorry. They change it. They take away the Poppy. I had that backwards in my head. It was Mankato that played Poppy last time, and so this time it's going to be Misty Stumpy saying, "You think you're a good Poppy? That's fine, but anything you can do, I can do better."
Well, it should also be pointed out that Camille is still left open. So in a big way, Misty Stumpy is saying that he did die in that 1v1 to Feels Batman in game number 1. So now maybe he's sort of saying, hey, I picked your Poppy. Now it's your turn to pick Camille into me so that I can get the solo kill. So we'll get a chance to see if that is in fact the situation. But another champion that was banned in game 1 but unbanned here in game number 2 is this Graves. And so for Here to Improve, this would be his big chance to improve by picking up what is a very strong jungler right now and using that strength to help perform better than he did in game number 1.
Right. I don't mind the Olaf pick here. I think it's going to help, especially with Cassio running that Ghost. They could be building a little bit of a Zerg comp here, just kind of rush you down will depend, I think, heavily on the top laner and the amount of sort of beef they bring in with that pick. But still, I like the Olaf in response to the Elise. It's something that's not going to be as threatened by the Cocoon when he's popped his ultimate. And I actually, do you know whether or not Poppy's ultimate is going to knock Olaf out if he's ulted?
No, if he's ulted, he just kind of stays there. If there's anything that interacts with his ult, it's pretty much just death. So
Gotcha.
that's what you got to work out for. Now, Cassiopeia did receive a slight nerf, so you can't do that like wacky flash ult shenaniganry like we did get a chance to see a little bit earlier on in I think LCK this season. But still very, very strong, very consistent, and wow.
Ooh.
We get a little bit of a treat, Corvus. We are going to see Hollywood's Talia. We got a chance to see that a couple weeks ago when he busted it out, and busting is about what he did with it there. So that's going to be very, very scary, if not scarier than the LeBlanc that was banned away from him. And there is the Karma going to fulfill kind of the same idea as maybe like the Lulu giving your team or an individual member that big shield, and of course still keeping that high poke damage.
Right, absolutely. Very interesting that they've decided to leave Artemis's pick for the last one here. You generally want to save that for the counter, but they generally know what they're going up against in every single lane, and Poppy was picked blind, so interesting to see. I guess there's no real rush if they are planning to just pick Ashe. It's not like the side of Mankato's going to take that away. Like to see the Maokai come out, but it is interesting after he suffered all of those nerfs, right? It used to be patch 7.3 and prior, you'd kind of pick Maokai, and then, if Camille was banned, Poppy or Nautilus as a response to it. But ever since they gave significant damage to his Q, he's not the same tree he used to be.
Yes, so Maokai did get nerfed, so he's not as annoying as he used to be. But the big thing to see here is Artemis's Sivir. If you don't know about this Artemis guy, he was definitely very well known. Maybe the word is infamous here for this Sivir. And Sivir is just not an AD carry that you see anymore. Maybe a slight niche opportunity for her to come back in some specific compositions. Granted, like I said, full disclosure, I'm not really super familiar with exactly where she fits into this team composition. All I know is it's going to be sick to see Artemis on a champion that is at least closely associated there. So that'll be pretty cool to watch. And of course, game point in this best of 3 series here for Columbia College. If they are able to take down Minnesota State Mankato again, then they will advance through in this ULoL Campus Series playoff bracket.
Right, yeah, no, they're definitely poised to make some big moves here. I'm certainly excited to see what they pull out, Reed. But we are going to take another quick commercial break. Hopefully we can get the audio working in these ones for you. And we'll be right back just after this. And that'll bring us back, ladies and gentlemen. Want to make one quick announcement regarding Columbia College, and it might not be what you think. I want to tell you all about the Midwest Campus Clash. There's $25K on the line April the 8th. And why is Columbia important? Well, because it's at Columbia College in Missouri. Registration for the qualifier closed on February the 22nd, but it doesn't begin starting the matches until March the 5th. If you want some more information, you can type !Clash into Twitch chat. for more info. And last little tidbit of information for all you viewers out there, we're hiring a social media manager. So if that's anything within your skill repertoire, please head over to cstarleague.com for more information. That is cstarleague.com. Please submit an application. Please submit a resume. We would love to hear from you guys. Ugh. Excited to see what these compositions are going to pull off, too.
Absolutely. Well, that's going to do it for our announcements. So make sure to stick around. We've got about 30 more seconds here in spectator delay. So before we head into this game, I do want to give a quick shout out once again to our sponsors at Band Gaming, Twitch, and Republic of Gamers. That's ASUS. And thank them all for helping support the Collegiate Star League. And of course, for being just so good to collegiate esports in general. Big fan of those guys. So make sure to go check them out. We're going to take a quick break while we get into our second game in this best of 3 series. So thanks for watching the ULoL Campus Series Round of 16 playoffs.
All right, and that will be bringing us in on to game number 2 between Columbia, now switched over to that red side, and Minnesota State Mankato on that blue. Excited to see how this one is going to turn out. A lot of different potential here in these picks and bans through the draft, and I think our biggest story for me is the Olaf here in this second game for Here to Improve. I'm excited to see what this one turns out for him.
Well, maybe that's the biggest story there on Mankato. Of course, on the other side,
Right.
I'm really just excited to see Artemis's Sivir in action and what is a very unique level 1 strategy here for Columbia. Once again, sticking together, using the power of teamwork and an unpredictable level 1 engage to maybe try to catch Wicklebear off guard.
Yeah, they're close. Cocoon is not in range, and so they do slow him down. The flash will find a free first blood for him, though. Whew, it didn't work in game number 1, but they said, you know what, try again, and they pull it off here in the second.
And it would be RJ to pick up that kill. He was definitely very bloodthirsty in game number 1, trying to sit in the enemy jungle and find the picks that he needed to get himself those kills. So well-deserved there, and already a first blood, allowing RJ to head back to base and start off his jungle with boots.
Absolutely. We talk about mental fortitude as something to be huge in a best of series. Well, if you're rallying in game number 2, if you're getting it back together, that is a troublesome start. But, you know, it's you have the variables at your disposal, too. It didn't go over to a laner, I guess is the point I'm making, and so that's at least a small comfort to most of them. It's not like Jin's going to be really any further behind his lane opponent. So if you can play around that jungle, you can at least, hold your breath and try to get through it, especially with some very competitive picks like that Cassio into that Talia.
Yeah, and to just give a quick mention about Cassiopeia, like I said, she did get her skills changed around a little bit. Mostly it's just the ult changed, no actual nerfs coming her way. So it'll be interesting to see how she fares against a champion that Hollywood has dominated on in ULoL this season. And of course, as directed camera is wont to do, it takes us up to the top lane where we are going to see not the most exciting 1v1 in League of Legends in Poppy and Maokai. So that's probably going to be a lane that we avoid for the most part.
Right.
Because especially with RJ getting that first kill, it's going to be exciting to see what he can do with it.
Right. Only so many ways you can call a lollipop getting tossed against a tree, but
I mean, when you think about that, that's a fairly accurate analogy for what's actually happening. It's like, well, that's just not going to deal a whole lot of damage. But especially with these Maokai nerfs, I'm excited to see maybe how much that changes those matchups.
Right, absolutely. Early aggression already coming out from RJ. He's just living in the enemy jungle and maybe suffering a bit of a collapse for it. Misses the cocoon, and that could be vital. Gets hit up by the Jin W and will be forced to flash out of that one. But look at this. They turn it around on Here to Improve, and Gigabyte has to clean up the mess for him that is jungler left. And wow, it's a 1-for-1 so far, and quite the scrappy one with a lot of summoners blown on the side of Mankato there.
Yeah, definitely worth it, though, for Mankato, because they get double buffs on their mid laner, and Cassiopeia, very low on mana right now, is really going to love that mana regen from having the blue buff there in the mid lane. Of course, red buff means that as soon as she autos you, you're going to be in trouble.
Absolutely. Speaking of the autos, they're getting traded out back and forth pretty quickly in this bottom lane to the slight tune of favor for Columbia, but you're right, that mid lane match is an interesting one to keep an eye on there. Certainly applying a little bit more pressure to Hollywood now, and I think that's going to buy a little bit of breathing room that they need for Gigabyte, but they found Here to Improve again, and he suffers his second kill in a 3-kill game thus far.
Man, and really Hollywood just setting that up beautifully. Great usage of, I think, primarily the seismic shove to just put Here to Improve in a position he was not really able to improve all that much. But now RJ getting back in onto it. Miss on the cocoon, but keeps the red buff slow alive. And this time, good guy RJ gives the kill over to Hollywood.
Right, that is going to be Hollywood taking away a nice kill for that 2-0-2 and refreshing some buffs there. Gets the double buff, and so that is going to be exactly what you're looking for. Hasn't backed yet. Actually has about 1,700 gold just sitting in the back pocket, and I'm not incredibly familiar with Talia's itemization path, but I would not be surprised to see some really punishing builds come out. Stumpy, though, taken out, was late on the gank for RJ. Batman flashes away from his own tower, and that will actually seal his fate here. Looks like RJ's going to pick that one up. 3-1-1 thus far. Monstrous start for this jungler. Give an inch, takes a mile.
From first blood all the way now to being 3-1-1, like you said. RJ really living up to his prowess from game number 1, and just going up top lane. Wasn't quite there in time to save Misty Stumpy, but credit where credit's due. He was able to pick up that kill, and now is moved from taking that kill to taking jungle camps along with it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Just bleeding dry the gold, and I think that's one of the great things that separates Columbia from other teams we've seen here in the CSL is they're not afraid to get in their enemy's jungle and just take away that neutral, that standing gold, and they do it as a team, right? Plenty of casters in the pro leagues like to talk about how counter jungling is a team effort, and Hollywood's response to go out and help RJ anytime that there's a little bit of an issue. Oh, we're taking red and we need to kill Here to Improve. No problem. We'll do it as a team. I think it speaks volumes to their team play ability on the side of Columbia.
Definitely does. Hollywood, though, playing very closely, very carefully. Mid lane action goes Hollywood's way. A perfect use of that cleanse to avoid getting stunned under turret by that petrifying gaze and pick up the kill.
Seamlessly done there for Hollywood. Love it. And had the fadeaway shots just poised and ready to go. Never felt like it was out of his control, even for a second there. And so that's some very impressive clean play. Looks like we're getting a little bit of a storm brewing in the bot lane for the side of Mankato there. Hollywood walls it off. They have nowhere to run, but it is going to be the first kill found on to the Nami. Wicklebear will be the second one. He finds a kill, thankfully, for him onto Hollywood there, but it's still not the trade you want when you expect first tower to be taken down with this as well.
Definitely not. And the most dangerous thing, Corvus, is that Artemis's Sivir is on the board. First kill of the game goes his way, and with that bottom turret most likely falling in this upcoming push, I hope Here to Improve does not stay to try to defend that, because that is definitely going down. That will be the first blood turret gold bonus going over to Columbia.
Right, we saw it take a little bit of a shaving in the last patch. It's not quite as potent and gold effective as it was actually, I believe, in an attempt to reduce the amount of what we just saw, which is big old bot lane parties. And so will still be a very viable strategy for the side of Columbia. Now feels Batman and Stumpy are beating each other up pretty well in this top lane. Not sure who's going to win that one, but it does look like Batman might be forced to... Oh, he actually doesn't have Flash, so this could be a very bad situation for that Maokai top lane if Stumpy wants to be as aggressive. We'll see. No, not gonna take it.
Yeah, Misty Stumpy already used Flash there, so didn't have any other abilities to gap close with. It was way out of mana, only had about 30 left.
Man, in one combo, Hollywood takes out well more than half of the health of Gigabyte there, and that's just not what you want if you are playing that Cassio. You're supposed to be the aggressive one making combos in lane.
Yeah, a cleanse just about a minute away from being off cooldown, so Hollywood will have that up at that time to use once again to great effect, but now mid lane, or below mid lane actually, where the action's going to be going down, but a nice blast fruit will get the rest of Mankato off to safety, but it's not safe enough. You can never be safe from RJ, who's going deep with a cocoon.
Yeah, finds it already dealing most of the health, and there's a great blast plant to take that one through, forcing a flash as well out from Ransack Moose. And just like that, they've denied most of their competition surrounding this Mountain Drake, should that be the objective that they really want to pursue, especially as Olaf's running top. But look at this Ransack Moose caught in the jungle. It's not safe to be there. And all the while, they're trying to get a return kill onto the top side for Stumpy here. Looks like they will find him, and Here to Improve picks up a very much needed first kill in this game.
Nice try, Misty Stumpy, but unfortunately that Poppy pick not going as well as his Camille choice did in game number 1. And that's the second time this game he's going to be taken out. But, I mean, at some point he's just taking one for the team that will allow the rest of Columbia to take down their second turret in the mid lane at 10 minutes, Corvus.
Absolutely. They've just eaten through a couple towers, and unusual to find two in the same lane, but... this is an unusual game being played from the side of Columbia, and they're playing it unusually well. It looks like they're here right on time with this rotation to crush out this
I think they're playing it usually well, Corvus. This is kind of business as usual for them.
Right, this is the 5-0 team. You're absolutely, you raised a very good point, Reed.
And you're starting to see one of the reasons why they are the 5-0 team, because they get an inch and they take a mile with it. Specifically, RJ really just knowing how to snowball out of control on one of his best champions here, this Elise, and you're starting to see why. Just one kill after another, from first blood all the way now to being 5-1, and helping his team secure their first dragon of the game. It's a Mountain Drake at 11 minutes.
Gotta love that Mountain Drake, especially if you're not on an AD who's as particularly renowned at shredding turrets. Sivir, very polite exchange in the top lane here. Stumpy's like, yeah, you start.
This is the most ridiculous fight I've ever seen. It's just like, oh, I'm gonna hit you, you're gonna hit me, we're both gonna kind of heal off of it. It's no big deal.
Top laners don't need to stand on ceremony.
Yeah.
You're making a point about Poppy.
Well, yeah, I was actually just going to point out Hollywood's rotation. It's coming up to the top lane. Diving Poppy, or diving Maokai is never really a great opportunity, but when you have all 5 members of your team up in the top half of the map, it's going to be a little bit more helpful.
Right, how many lumberjacks does it take to cut down a tree? The answer is 5 cleanly, and they fire up the chainsaws and take it right out, pressuring what could be their 4th tower of the game if they can get the wave in time.
Misty Stumpy almost took tower aggro again, and a good guy RJ was there to tank it for him. So all in all, a decent dive does take out Feels Batman, who did not have the help from his team, but now with a big cocoon on the Gigabytes!
Yeah, RJ, a little bit of dissonance with his team there. I don't think they were ready, or at least not at the exact same time he was, and finds himself in full tower aggro with a very angry Serpentine woman to boot. So not at all what you're... maybe looking for in that exchange. Does give over another kill to the side of Mankato, and everyone counts at this point. Only 12 minutes in the game, but 5k gold in deficit for them is nothing to take lightly.
Yeah, that's kind of par for the course for RJ. Very aggressive, and oh no, Winklebear!
Oh, good flash to get out of range, and the summoner heal keeps him alive. Holy cow.
That's actually pretty incredible. Dean Hollywood got outplayed on like Dean got outplayed on like 2 different levels. Had the kill once, had it taken away. Had the kill a second time, and then the summoner heal saves Winklebear's life.
Right. You
Man,
gotta
that's got to
wonder
sting a little bit.
if he was in range for that exhaust, could have popped it, but maybe thought he didn't need to, and certainly punished there for underestimating Wicklebear. Did take the summoner, so nice consolation prize, but still, when there's blood in the water, it's nothing short of a kill will satisfy these sharks.
That is true. Do we have a shark champion yet, Corvus?
The closest thing we have is that the Fizz's whalefish shark dude that comes. I'm not actually even sure what that is.
Yeah, I know Fizz like summons a shark. I'm thinking more of like a street shark kind of champion. I think so. Maybe that's the next kind of champion that they need to come out with. I don't know. I don't really know what's next in Riot's champion coffers, but
I love the mental imagery. I'm picturing a leather jacket and gills, and that's all I can picture to put that puzzle together. But I love it.
Okay, well, this is why we're not in charge of making new champions. Here comes Misty Stumpy trying to come around behind the turret. Gigabyte, nowhere to go.
Is caught up. The minions are keeping him well in position there, and RJ actually taking a good bit of damage in the 2-on-1. Forced to flash, but the tidal wave should catch him if Here to Improve's axe does not snipe it out first.
RJ!
Ooh,
Man, that one's got to sting a little bit. The axe snipe there from Olaf. Here to Improve, at least improving a little bit.
Absolutely doing a pretty good job. Has the 2 kills, and I believe that's 2 more than he found in the last game. So, to his credit, Rek'Sai is a champion that can live without kills, especially if you have more important places to put them on your team. But now, as Olaf, he's saying, no, I want a piece of this pie.
Okay, well, that's definitely going to even up the score, at least among the junglers, maybe a little bit closer. It's going to take a little bit of extra effort, but we'll see exactly how the game does transpire, because at least this game, Corvus, is not quite as one-sided as our first game. Now, still, you do have to look at the objectives when it comes down to it. 4 turrets to 0. Again, the guys from Minnesota State Mankato really struggling to really just take down any objectives.
Right, they've not found a tower yet in this series. In the 40 minutes of gameplay we've had thus far, not one has gone down for them, so it is a point that they're certainly struggling on, and I think so much is in credit to the fact that Columbia's not let off that gas pedal. I mean, they are just driving these forces. If you look, every single lane is pushing and shows no signs of relenting. The wave clear's there for the side of Mankato. They have it in Cassio. They've got a decent amount in Jin and Olaf as well, sort of a tier below there, but it's just, how do you patrol every single lane when there's threats like Hollywood looking to solo out your star mid laner? Heartbreakingly close.
Did him dirty, turned around right in time for the petrifying gaze, and then turned around for the kill again. Just incredible play there. Is Talia going off again for the second time this season in the ULoL campus series.
Yeah, you mentioned it, and maybe 5-10 minutes into the game I took you a little lightly on it, but I apologize for that because you were absolutely right, and they are going in for it. Artemis finds Wicklebear, another champion and player combo you seem to highlight there. Good knock away from Stumpy, making sure that tower goes down. No questions asked.
Wow. All right. Finally, a team fight where RJ didn't die randomly. All right, big fan.
Yeah, good point.
So RJ does get out. Of course, he was never really super into that fight, but he's going to rejoin the rest of his team, pushing down that mid lane. Now, Hollywood's a little bit low, and with no champion really to heal him up, maybe he's thinking about taking a trip back to base. And of course, he does have almost 2,000 gold to spend when he does go back there. So probably going to be looking for a Rylai's when he does go back. And indeed, there it is.
Pops it up, takes it away nicely. Team is left a little bit alone on this Ocean Drake. I'm sure it's nothing they feel the need to contest right away. Just letting the vision clear out, and actually it looks like the side of Mankato is going to concede this one.
Yeah, probably not a whole lot that they could do there. I mean, we've already seen one good axe snipe from Olaf that killed RJ. Unless he wants to try that for a Dragon Steel, yeah, probably better safe than sorry at this point. And while I mentioned previously that this game was not quite as one-sided as game number 1, while technically true, still a big deficit here. Almost 10,000 gold in Colombia's favor here, and we're not even 20 minutes into the game.
Absolutely right about that one, Rapid. I think maybe you can credit the closer game and closer being relative to the point that they're actually on the red side for Colombia this time. There is no, well, take your blue buff and grab the dragon strategy. Who knows? They are keeping up really good pressure across the board. I like the fact that Mankato's actually been taking the time to ward up their jungle a lot more effectively than they were in the last game, and staying vigilant there. But the side of Colombia doesn't care. They're just going to come through, clear out whatever they want to set up a really nice ward line for defense, and have all the options available to get, if not kills, really good chunks out of the health bar like they just found on Here to Improve.
Yeah, just every little bit helps, every little bit counts, and just slow and steady kind of winning the race here for Colombia. I mean, also, fast and not very steady winning the race for them too. It's just all kind of going in their favor. We've got RJ taking a few hits there. Is Hollywood pushing up this mid lane, and of course the rest of his team rejoining. Really like to see this 1-3-1 kind of style that Colombia are going for, just because they are so ahead in really every one of their lanes, with the exception of that top lane, which is a double tank lane, so it shouldn't find too many difficulties there for Misty Stumpy. Even though he did kind of get dominated a couple times, I think he'll be okay. Right now, a beautiful seismic shove in the mid lane forces a flash at a Gigabyte.
Right, and that should pave the way for this tower here. It looks like Artemis is going to be able to help run through that pretty quickly. Credit goes over to RJ as if he doesn't have enough credit in this game. Good wave to keep him off from the side of Nami, but I don't know if they're going to want to find this engage. They do. Batman is in onto the side of things, but he doesn't have many people backing him up right now, and his health bar is getting shredded. It looks like he will just barely survive. The flash in from Hollywood does find him. That's going to be another one found on the side of Ransack. Moose going down. They are not stopping here, Reed. They want to go in. They find the first kill under the base. It is going to be Stumpy taking that one out. Trades his life for it.
Stumpy, all right, doing the utmost, going the distance. Really got to give some credit there. RJ and Hollywood, too, kind of the Bash Bros mentality, going in, going deep together, and helping really snowball this game in their team's favor. Colombia come out of everything with 16 kills to their name, 2 in that fight, and the first inhibitor taken down at 20 minutes.
Absolutely right around the time that Baron does spawn, and looks like they might be heading out to take a little bit of a vision drop off along that way, or just get those clear backs. I'm not sure which. Most of their vision is still secured around that bot side of the map, so I would expect their push to really look for that bottom lane tower while they keep their waves pressuring, especially in mid with that inhibitor down.
Yeah, so like I said, slow and steady. Really, really good mentality to have right here. One thing that kind of worries me a little bit, and just a little bit here for Colombia, is that they might get a little bit too far ahead of themselves. Now, they're 10k up, 7 turrets up, 2 dragons up, and up in a lot of different areas. But all it takes is one, little faux pas, and that can all go against them.
Right, absolutely. Got to be careful, because we've seen so many great teams with great leads get a little too full of themselves, start up a Baron that they might not could finish yet. It's easy to feel like the king of the world when you're 6-1-6 on that tally, or 2-0-6 on that Sivir, but Baron is still a gigantic, angry river lizard that will chew you up and spit you out if you do not show the proper respect. So,
well, I mean, the big secret here is that the only time that we mention, one team's really far ahead, they might lose if this one random thing happens. At the end of the day, they're still really far ahead.
Right.
So we'll get a chance to see that. And the Baron you talked about earlier, Corvus, is being started here. Colombia will begin that, and we'll see how their friends at Mankato want to deal with it.
Yeah, really good play. Stumpy had 2 of them there, so the second they saw Olaf, it was a full commitment with no hesitation. And really well played, because Stumpy had that teleport up if anything started to even show a hint of going awry, but they just played it so patiently. They took Baron uncontested. There wasn't a ton of vision out there for the side of Mankato, and they were able to punish. And now, if we thought the 1-3-1 was bad before, and in this case the 3-1-1, it looks to be building a storm for the side of Mankato in that top lane particularly.
Yeah, from the 3 to the 1, to the 1 to the 3. Something about liking good trees. Like, down in the bottom lane feels Batman, even on the nerfed tree, he's still putting up a pretty good performance, holding his own there in that lane against Misty Stumpy. And if you remember how that lane matchup went in game number 1, definitely not this even. So really like to see some good improvements at least there. Now, of course, elsewhere on the map, struggles are to be found. And currently, that is up in the top lane, waiting for one more wave of minions before CC want to use their CC to get that engage in the top lane.
Absolutely. I really like what you said about Batman. He's been showing that even in an uphill battle, he's willing to make the climb, but that tower has gone down in the top lane. They're actually pushing on through, looking to get to the Nexus towers. That's the exhaust, but Olaf cannot be disabled, and they open up for the curtain call. Dean flashing out of the bubble very nicely. Hollywood is here to try to find, here to improve. They're not going to be able to get him in the fountain, but it is all for the inhibitor. Hollywood will sacrifice his life for the greater good, and they may get a nice consolation kill. On to Batman here, flashing for the flashy play. Top to bottom, though, really good.
Maybe that flash was a little bit of doing the utmost, but a kill to be had, nonetheless, you got to go for it. A decent defense, though, especially that pick off on Hollywood. You know, it's really kind of rare that you see the grounded status effect come out that big, but for Gigabyte, it prevented Hollywood from being able to flash out away from that turret, took the shots, took the damage, wound up going down. So, I mean, off the back of that, nothing really going too badly for Columbia, as they will still get that Inferno Drake, their third dragon of the game. But still, it does prolong the game, at least for a little bit.
Absolutely. If things weren't spicy enough for this Columbia roster, they're going to heat it up just a little bit further with that Infernal Drake. Toss a little bit more damage into their composition and look to make what could be the final rallying push. They are lined up at the gate for Mankato here to try to save what they have left of their base. It is to the tune of 2 towers holding that Nexus and an exposed inhibitor in the bot lane that seems to be the prize Columbia wants to pick out of this. They still have some time on that Baron. Not a lot, 1 or 2 more waves through this, so should be able to at least start the push up for this inhibitor. Meanwhile, looks like Hollywood is getting ready to provide that split pressure in the mid lane.
Well, with almost a 15,000 gold advantage and fresh off of putting that gold into items, this push could be the last one of the game. Ultimate coming through as that Weaver's Wall gets channeled. Of course, you can throw people into it. Misty Stumpy going deep, but having to face a 2v1.
Yeah, absolutely. The fight is breaking out, and Batman's trying to find Stumpy, but in the war of the top laners, it looks like it's going over to the side of Columbia. They've caught the support. Ransack Moose is ransacked. He's gone down. Gigabyte, the next one, slammed into the wall. Double kill coming out for Misty Stumpy there. They're just diving the fountain now with some excellently clean Hollywood play. For the Talia, they take another kill away, and this is certainly the game. Took them a little bit longer this time, about another 60 seconds on that from their 25-minute victory last time. Gets a nice consolation kill onto Stumpy, but it is the game going down. Quick series 2-0. Favor for Columbia College.
Big fan. Columbia College close out their 2-0 victory with a 20-9 Game 2 performance, 10K gold lead, and more impressively, an 11-0 perfect turret score. Really impressive to see their teamwork really throughout the season grow and develop together as a team and put together such a flawless performance here in the first round of the ULoL Campus Series playoffs. So once again, congratulations to everyone at Columbus College. And of course, you do still have to give credit where credit is due to Minnesota State Mankato. They played out the season. They made it here to the playoffs. But for them, their playoff run will be over.
Yeah, cut short to a very good team. They should feel very little shame in this loss, as it was quite a formidable foe they faced, and I would not be surprised to see a lot of more great things to come out of Columbia throughout this playoff run, Reed.
Well, as far as our run tonight, Corvus, that's going to be coming to an end. So I do want to thank everyone who came out and joined us, whether you're a fan of Minnesota State Mankato or a fan of Columbia College or just a fan of collegiate esports in general. Big fan of all of you guys for making it out here to support the players and just collegiate esports in general. So if you'd like to find out more information about either our League of Legends collegiate esports or just, collegiate esports and how to get involved at your school. You can head over to cstarleague.com. That's where you can find info on the ULoL campus series. You can find information on all of the collegiate esports that the Collegiate Star League runs. You can also send them information or feedback or anything you want on Twitter at Star League or on Facebook at Collegiate Star League. That is where you can send your thoughts and comments too. And of course, if you have any feedback for us as casters, you can also do that by heading on over to Twitter and tweeting at RapidCasting or at my wonderful co-caster Corvus Kovacs on Twitter as well. We'd love to hear what you have to say. And of course, last but not least, I'll give one final shout out to our sponsors.
Absolutely, yeah. We love our sponsors in Asus, Twitch, and Band. You saw their commercials. We're going to run them again really quickly here. And if this wasn't enough League of Legends action for you this evening, there's good news because we do have UC San Diego versus UC Riverside coming up, and that's going to be at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 10 o'clock Eastern Time. We hope to catch you out for that match as well. We're going to toss it over to some words from our sponsors. Thank you guys so much for tuning in tonight.
Ben, Sam, and Ken are on separate journeys to defeat the menacing Vile Dragon. But let's just say luck isn't on their side. If only there was a way for them to find each other and band together. Well, that's why there's Band. It's a mobile app that allows people to come together using common interests. With Band, you can find fellow gamers, chat, schedule gaming sessions, and conduct polls. Stage epic battles with friends while sharing videos and photos along the way. So try Band today. Band. Be together.